is a satellite and radar system, and we'll be talking about radar communication. The topic of my today's lecture is tracking radar, sequential lobing, conical scan, monopulse tracking, low angle tracking, and tracking in range, right? So first of all, what do we mean by tracking in radar? We have been studying about radar so far, and we know radar is an acronym that stands for radio detection and ranging, right? So radar is a technology that includes devices and technologies for detection of any foreign object in the vicinity, which is moving or stationary, and to calculate the range of that body, that is distance of that body from the transmitting end. That foreign body is called as target here, and the transmitting and receiving units are usually together, right? The term tracking here, denotes to track the path of the target, right? In general, it performs the function by target detection, range of the target, finding elevation and azimuthal angles, and finding Doppler frequency shift. That is the radar which is used to track the path. When my target is not stationary, it is moving, that is approaching my transmitting end or is moving away from the transmitting end, then to track the path is the technique which is called as tracking radar. So how tracking could be done? Tracking could be done by these methods. That is, first of all, we need to detect that some external body has arrived or is present in our territory. After detection, the distance of that target has to be calculated, which is called as range of the target. So the sequence follows: finding it, that is detecting the body, then range calculation, then finding elevation and azimuthal angles, that is the coordinates at which the target is lying, and then finding the Doppler frequency shift. That is, if the target is moving, the target is non-stationary, then we have to find the Doppler frequency shift, at what frequency it is approaching or moving away, right? So tracking radar tracks the target by tracking one of the three parameters. Either we talk in terms of range, that is the distance, or we talk in terms of angle, or we talk in terms of Doppler frequency shift. Because this is also a thing, by analyzing the Doppler frequency shift, we could calculate whether the target is approaching us or moving away. If the Doppler frequency is higher than the transmitted frequency, then the target is approaching us. If it is lower, then the target is moving away, right? So most of the tracking radars uses the principle of tracking in angle, right? So here in our lecture, we'll be focusing on tracking in angle. Range and Doppler shift will not be talking, we'll be emphasizing on tracking in angle. This is the basic block diagram to represent how tracking could be performed, right? So consider this as the parabolic reflector which is used to transmit my electromagnetic waves to detect the target and for range calculation, right? So it gets electromagnetic waves from the transmitter, right? We do have a waveform generator which is supplied to the transmitter, and with the help of the antennators transmitter, here we do have a duplexer which will enable either the transmission mode or the reception mode depending on the time basis, right? Now the received signals goes to analog to digital converter, right? From analog to digital converter, as the signal received is in analog form, that has to be converted first into digital mode so that rest of the signal processing could be done, right? So it goes to signal processing unit where pulses are compressed and Doppler signal is processed, right? This goes to the main computer which is used for detection or demodulation. Then parameter estimation and tracking is also done here. We can provide the reference data here, right, or any form of data, right? Now this goes to the display device to represent the location of the target, to look to know to display the velocity, right? In whichever manner we can use different kind of display devices here. So this is how tracking usually takes place. Now, as discussed, that tracking could be done using either of the parameter like range or angle or the Doppler frequency. Let's discuss about tracking using the information about angle. So in angular tracking, we use pencil beams of radar antenna. These beams are used to perform angular tracking, right? Here the axis of radar antenna is considered as the reference direction. And if the direction of the target and the reference direction is not same, then there will be angular error, right? We need to focus on the target. So the reference must match with the axis of the target. If there is some angular difference between the reference and the target, then that angular difference is the error, which is nothing but the difference between two directions, right? If this is the reference direction and if target lies here, the angular difference is the angular error here, right? If the angular error signal is applied to a servo control system, then it will move the axis of the radar antenna towards the direction of the target, right? Both the axis of the radar antenna and the direction of the target will coincide when the angular error is 0. We know that initially both the axes does not coincide. With the help of the servo motor, we'll enable it to reach the reference direction. When it reaches back to the reference direction, the angle that it covers, that angular difference is noted down, right? There exists a feedback mechanism in the tracking radar which works until the angular error becomes 0. So we must work towards making the angular error 0, right? So this is the technique where pencil beams are most commonly used because these are highly directional. If we use a broader beam, then the target could be possibly lying in any of the region. But instead of this broader beam with broader beam width, if we use pencil beam, then it narrows down the error probability in calculating the target's actual location, right? So instead of using broader beam width, we prefer pencil beams in case of tracking radar, right? Here, using angular tracking, there are two specific methods which are preferred, which is sequential lobing and conical scan. We'll see each one of it one by one. Let's talk about sequential lobing. What happens in sequential lobing? We assume that the target could be in either at position 1 or position 2, and that pencil beam is switched at these two locations. What happens here? If the antenna beams are switched between two patterns alternatively for tracking the target, then it is called as sequential lobing. It is also called sequential switching and the lobe switching. We may call it as sequential switching or lobe switching. This technique is used to find the angular error in one coordinate. True? If this is my x-axis, this is y-axis, right? My pencil lobe switches between these two positions, right? Then error in y-axis could only be calculated here, right? So this technique is used to find the angular error in one coordinate only, right? It gives the detail of both magnitude and direction of the angular error, which is the required information, magnitude and direction of angular error. These two are the information which are gathered here, right? So if this is the target and we are switching our lobe between these two positions, whereas the target was here, let's draw a line joining the target from the central point and the reference axis of the beam. The angular difference between these two axes will be giving me the angular error, and this could be reduced with the help of servo motor. So the amount by which servo motor rotates in angle, that will give me information about the angular error. So here we get to know the direction of angular error, whether we move anti-clockwise or clockwise, as well as magnitude, that is value of theta, and whether we move clockwise or anti-clockwise. So these two informations are relevant here that we get in case of sequential lobing. This could be related to simply hold a torch, and if we are suppose some thief has entered our lawn, what we do, we might use a torch to locate if the thief has entered. What we usually do, we light our torch at one position, then switch it to another position. It's same like switching the torch from one position to another, right? So this is my sequential lobing. So this is used to track the path of my radar. The previous figure shows an example of sequential lobing in polar coordinates, right? These are the polar coordinates. Antenna beams here switch between position 1 and position 2 alternatively. So the angular error theta is indicated in the above figure, right? Here this theta is the angular error, right? Sequential lobing gives position of the target with high accuracy. This is the main advantage of sequential lobing. If we talk about advantage, it has high accuracy, right? That is, here the magnitude and direction of the angular error is so accurate. Next is conical scanning. Here the antenna beam continuously rotates for tracking a target, right? Then here we do not switch position of these pencil beams. We continuously rotate it in conical manner, like from here to here, making a cone. From the axis, if we join the line, it forms a cone. So this is called as conical scanning. So it continuously track the complete area where target could possibly lie. Instead of switching my beams to only two positions, it continuously tracks my target in that entire area, forming a cone-like structure. Here, the antenna beam continuously rotates for tracking a target. Here, conical scan modulation is used to find the position of the target. This is my antenna. This is the antenna axis. This is my beam axis. This dotted line represents my rotation axis. Beam rotates like this, right? When we rotate our torch like this, it could be related. This angle between the beam axis and the rotation axis is called squint angle. This is of importance here, right? So this is my complete beam. If we are aware with the radiation pattern of antenna, this is how leaf-like structures are could be shown to represent my radiation pattern, right? So squint angle is of importance here. Squint angle is the angle between beam axis and the rotation axis, and it is shown in the above figure. Here the echo signal obtained from the target gets modulated at frequency. That is, we use frequency modulation equal to the frequency at which antenna beam rotates, right? Modulation occurs at a rate at which antenna beam rotates. The angle between the direction of the target and rotation axis determines the amplitude of the modulated signal. Magnitude is calculated by this. So the conical scan modulation has to be extracted from the echo signal, and then it is to be applied to servo control system, which moves the antenna beam axis towards the direction of the target, right? So these are the two techniques which we study, that is sequential lobing and conical scan. After this, let's talk about low angle tracking. What is tracking at low angle? A radar that tracks low elevation angle. Sometimes, to fool my radar system, enemy plane might enter with such low elevation angle so as to fool it. But we can use radar technology here also to detect the target. But there are some constraints here. Here, the wave will reach my target using two paths. One will be the direct path, another would be after reflecting from the earth surface. This is because of low elevation angle. One of the direct path from radar to target, and other is the reflection from the earth surface. This is equivalent to radar illuminating two targets, one above the surface, another below the surface. So here these two paths has to be considered and has to be used in our calculation. The effect of glint is quite prevalent here, with errors in the measured elevation angle of the target, because one ray we are getting direct and another after reflection. So glint angle, because of the glint angle we are expecting some errors. At small angles over perfectly reflecting surfaces, the reflection coefficient from the surface is approximately 1. Since they are almost in line, the phase is equal to 180 degrees and the magnitude is equal to 1. Thus, the amplitudes of the incident signal are equal to the amplitude of the reflected signal. Here, we might get confused with the amplitude of this signal and this signal, as this is approximately 180 degree, a slightly lower angle than 180 degree. So this confused the whole system. So low angle tracking becomes little difficult. Now next thing is multiple target tracking. What is multiple target tracking? In multiple target tracking, my radar continuously track, right? It tracks while scan, right? Here track while scan radar system sample each target once per scan interval and uses sophisticated smoothing and prediction filters to estimate the target parameters between scan, right? So here my multiple targets could be detected using this technology. Kalman filters are best used here, and alpha, beta, gamma filters are commonly used here. Once a particular target is detected, the radar may transmit up to few pulses to verify the target before it establishes a track file. Once a target is detected, that is verified, right? Not by single pulse, but multiple pulses are sent. Here the target position, velocity and acceleration comprises the major components of the data maintained by a track file. So here in this track while scan system, modern radar systems are designed to perform multiple functions such as detection, tracking and discrimination, all these things simultaneously. With the aid of sophisticated computer system, multi-function radars are capable of simultaneously tracking many radars. So we may use a dual scan interval here, right? By using smoothing and prediction techniques, advanced filters like Kalman filters, alpha, beta, gamma filters, the task is made smooth and easier. Radar system that can perform multitasking and multi-tracking radar are known as track while scan radar. So these are our modern radars. What is monopulse radar? It is a radar system that uses additional encoding of the radio signal to provide accurate directional information. It overcomes the error which are introduced in conical scan. right? It uses additional encoding. The name refers to its ability to extract range and direction from a single pulse. Monopulse radar avoids problems seen in conical scanning radar system, which can be confused by rapid changing in the signal strength. As here, the signal strength rapidly changes, we overcome the problems which are introduced in our conical radar. It could be constructed with the help of reflector antennas or array of antennas. These are similar in construction, and but split the beam into parts and then sent into two resulting signals out of the antenna, which is slightly different in directions. So its principle of working is different from that of conical. It splits the beam into parts and send it into resulting signals out of the antenna in slightly different direction. When the reflected signals are received, they are amplified, separated and compared with each other, indicating the direction that has a stronger return and thus the general direction of the target relative to the bore side. Right? Here the comparison is carried out during one pulse, which typically is of few microsecond. So with the difference of few microsecond, it does all the calculation. Here are certain antenna parameters that needs to be studied when we talk about radar communication, which is directivity, aperture efficiency, antenna efficiency and gain. If I talk about directivity, it is the ratio of maximum radiation intensity of the subject antenna to the radiation intensity of the isotropic. Here isotropic antenna is an antenna which radiates uniformly in all directions. So directivity give me for a directional antenna, maximum radiation intensity in the direction to the radiation intensity when I consider isotropic antenna instead of the directional antenna. If I talk about aperture efficiency, it is the ratio of effective radiating area to the physical area of the aperture. Effective area which actively contributes in either transmission or reception to the actual physical area. This is called my aperture efficiency. These all parameters are considered when we relate our transmitting power with the received power. If I talk about antenna efficiency, it is the ratio of the radiated power of antenna to the input power accepted by the antenna. Mathematically, it is radiated power by input power, right? Irradiation is the amount of power radiated and P is the input power of the antenna. Radiated upon input is my efficiency, and gain, as we all know, is the ratio of radiation intensity in a given direction to the radiation intensity that would be obtained if power accepted by the antenna was radiated isotropically. So it is mathematically multiplication of my antenna efficiency with the directivity of the antenna. So these are the basic things about antenna that we need to know whenever we study about radar communication. These are the references which I have used. That's it for today. Thank you.